A walk in the park. We set lofty goals for ourselves, or at least we should do so. Goals and challenges to increase the experience of life, to enrich it in some way. And it was Thoreau who wrote that you generally only hit what you aim at, and therefore you had better aim high. You may not achieve half of what you set out to do, and you probably won't. But even the lioness is only successful in 3 of every 10 times she's on the hunt. The failures are not failures so long as you learn from them. They are a part of the process, a step along the pathway that leads to the greater scheme of things, a bridge being built to the future that lies before you. But before I get myself too lost in the loftiness of any of the supreme challenges of life, let me come back down to earth for a moment to recall a reaching for the heights that happened half a lifetime ago. I am 70 years old as I write this, and it was at the age of 35 in August of 1991 that my trail partner Eric and I climbed up to the top of Half Dome in the majestic Yosemite Valley. We took it on from a higher elevation by starting from Glacier Point, 3,200 feet above the valley. From that vantage point, you may be adding 2 miles to the hike, but you are hiking to the summit of Nevada Falls on a reasonably level plain, and not wearing yourself out by climbing up out of the valley on the steep mist trail to the top of Vernal Falls. From Glacier Point, we hiked towards Illilouette Falls, skirting the edge of the valley, and then turn into the direction of Nevada Falls. Crossing over the bridge above Nevada Falls, we hike into the Little Yosemite Valley, where 11 years before, in October of 1980, my brother George and I did our first backcountry hike by hiking from Curry Village to Lake Merced and back, which was cut short on the 3rd day by being chased by a bear out of our camp at Echo Creek. And that first backcountry hike in 1980 had plenty of lessons to learn from, beginning with the fact that we packed way too heavy and felt that within the first 2 miles while we were still on level ground on our way to the John Muir Trail. I had even packed a bag of split green peas to boil down into soup on the trail. What in the world was I thinking? But each journey is a lesson to learn from. When you have moments where you shake your head and say, I'll never do it like that again. And you don't. But give yourself enough time and you'll find even more dumb stuff to do and blunders to learn from. That's just how life works. Through the forest and up to the shoulder of Half Dome, climbing the carved-out granite steps that challenge the hips of even a 35-year-old. And then you stand there at the base of the cables and put on your leather gloves, looking up to what you're about to ascend. And up you go, hand over hand, slowly, strenuously. You're at above 8,000 feet now, breathing thinner air and taking much of it into your lungs. About 3/4 of the way up the cables, I begin to get cramps the size of hard-boiled eggs just above the knee on each leg. All I could do was to squat down to stretch out the cramped muscles until I was able to continue on once more, before the next cramps pulled me down into a squatting position again. But I finally made it. I made it to the top of the cables, pacing around and squatting to stretch out the leg cramps. I strolled around the summit, absorbing the wondrous views in all the surrounding directions. I find Eric, who made it up to the top about a half hour before I did. He holds out a flask of white wine. I take a hit, and it feels like gasoline in my mouth. I say, "Oh, no, that's not what I need right now, thanks." I open my day pack and devour 2 peaches immediately. My body is so starved for moisture that I can almost feel those peaches coursing through my muscles. The valley, El Capitan, Three Brothers, the cathedrals, Cloud's Rest, North Dome, Glacier Point, Tenaya Canyon, the Clark Range, and beyond. And as I stood there looking at all the wonders around me, I made a pledge to myself that I would make an annual event of the Half Dome climb from this time forward. Ah, yes, another lofty goal with the best of intentions that was never achieved, and never will be now. But I probably should have kept my mouth shut and not told you about my unkept pledge, my unfulfilled promise. Up until that point, you may have been pretty impressed that I had made that climb at all. And now you're thinking, what a wimp. He only climbed it once and never kept his promise to climb it year after year. But if you ever get the chance to climb the cables of Half Dome, do it. But just keep this in mind. It's a strenuous, serious hike, and not just a walk in the park.